Hello and welcome to the Media Club's newsroom. We have a very special guest joining us this evening. Would you mind introducing yourself to us, please, Federica?
Hi, everyone. I'm Federica and I work at the January Institute of Oxford.
We are so excited to have you here this evening. We've got lots of people who are interested in the work that you've been doing and also thinking about future careers. So lots of interesting questions coming your way. I must point out at this stage as well, because we have International Women's Day coming up, that when we were putting together some of these questions, that lots of them started off with, oh, I'm going to ask him, I'm going to ask if he, and hadn't realised that actually it was going to be a she who was joining us in the Media Club's reason. So even better that we have got a female scientist here and a fantastic role model for our mini reporters. So thank you so much.
What got you into your career?
I think it just happened naturally because I was very interested in science when I was at school, and then I got passionate about what I couldn't see, which were mainly viruses, all these little creature that cause loads of problems, but also can solve loads of problems. And I didn't know at the beginning of my study career what I would become. It kind of developed while I was working. So I never thought when I was a kid, oh, I'm going to work on vaccines in Oxford. It was a development. So you learn while you start studying things, what interests you most. And then you take it from there, and you try to jump on the things that you are most passionate about.
Fantastic advice and a great question there, Ethan. And we are always, looking at our mini reporters, thinking about how, you're completely right. Passions and follow your passions and things that you're really interested in is so important. Julie, are you ready to ask your questions?
Yes, sorry about that.
No problem.
So my first question is, where do you start when you decide that you would like to find a cure for a disease?
Yeah, so sometimes, so what happened to me is like you end up joining someone who he's already doing the job, because you want to find a cure for something, but there is already someone else who's working on that particular disease, and then you think, I want to cure cancer, or I want to cure infectious diseases, and then you look for those particular job positions, and you join people who have already loads of experiences and have been working on the topic for a long time. But usually what you look at is the characteristics of the disease, and then you try to tackle it reading loads of literature about the disease, and sometimes you have you can identify a lucky weak point of the disease, and then you can develop vaccines or you can develop a drug. But I think getting to know your enemy is the first thing to do when you want to defeat it. So you look at the weak points.
What are the things that encourage you to get up in the morning when finding a cure could be far away?
I still don't know. Thank you for asking this. It is difficult to say because certain days are really good days and you get like your battery recharged, and some days are bad days, and then you think, okay, today hasn't been a good day, tomorrow is going to be better. I think I just wake up, well, in COVID times, it's the wake up. I didn't even need an alarm to wake me up because it was so important. And so I didn't really need motivation. I didn't need to find it within myself. But before COVID, sometimes, like in every job, I think you need to tell yourself tomorrow is going to be better, I want to solve this. I want to challenge myself and grow and develop, and yeah, put yourself into what you're doing, even if it's not working, it's gonna work, or there will be a solution. So yeah, the motivation is like, there will always be a solution for every problem. And especially if you have a nice environment and you're working with nice people, they will also give you a little push.
Fantastic piece of advice there, mini reporters. Thank you so much, Federica.
Thank you.
So I have one last question.
Yeah.
When you work, do you spend the entire day in the lab?
It depends. It depends. So lately I work less and less in the lab. I mainly sorting out and organizing the team. But I must admit that I really enjoy days that I spend completely in the lab. I like to do manual things. I like to put myself into the vaccine development and analysis of immune responses. And yeah, I like to do a little bit of a science, proper science work, rather than sitting at the computer, replying to emails, organizing shipments, and all the boring things associated with my job. Yeah, so I rather work in the lab. Sometimes it's quite tiring because it requires loads of concentration, but it's very rewarding.
I think we would like that too, wouldn't we, mini reporters? I think when we think about somebody as a scientist, we think about labs and being in there. So great to hear, but always a balance in a job, isn't there, where you have to do lots of other stuff that goes alongside it. So good to know that there's lots of different things that you have to do. Brilliant questions there, Julie. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Very nice questions.
Why would you recommend the COVID vaccine?
So there are several reasons why one should vaccinate against COVID disease. First of all is vaccines are proved to be safe, and they are so far the most, the greatest weapon we have against the virus. And we've seen in this year and a bit of vaccines out there for everyone that they work well. And so we have now less people that get severely ill and that get hospitalized. And so it is important for that reason. And also, if you vaccinate, you will protect people around you because you are less, there are fewer possibilities for you to get infected with coronavirus. And so there are also fewer possibilities to spread it to people around you. And especially when you look at people that are, that have other conditions, pre-existing conditions, you don't want to put their life at risk, because we've seen this virus. I think we got to know it quite well. It's quite unpredictable, and now it's spreading very easily and it's less severe, but who knows what's coming next. And so I think because we have vaccines, they work even against different variants. I think it's important to vaccinate as many people as we can.
Thank you. And another great question there, Freya. I'm going to just check in on Ben again before I come over to you, Nikita.
Is the COVID vaccine trustworthy, and what is your evidence that it is?
Yeah, so we have seen a very fast development of vaccines in the last year and a half, which was something that we couldn't have predicted before, although we were on a good way already to produce vaccines in a faster way, which doesn't mean that they are less controlled or less tests are done on them, but it just means that we had the technology, the money to do it, and everyone was basically thinking about COVID vaccines, because that was the only things that could help us reducing the spread of the disease. We've seen they are safe. We've seen they saved loads of life around the world. And so, yeah, they are trustworthy. And I can assure that there are a lot of controls when you develop a vaccine, as well as when you develop a drug for a disease. So, yeah, it's really safe to take those vaccines.
What would you say to girls who want to work as a scientist, and what are your top tips?
Oh yeah, I think it's not very different than for a boy. I think that the tips are shared between kids or young people like you that want to go into science. You need to be curious. You need to be open to change your path billions times because things change rapidly, and you every day there's something new coming out. So you need to be able to keep up the pace with a world that is changing at a very fast pace as well. And we've seen this with the vaccine. So we need to keep up with technology. We need to keep up with literature about diseases. So it's like being always there and always prepared, and be ready to surprise yourself every day with something new. So if you're up for it, that's definitely the job for you. And then you need to be able to share, because I think teamwork makes the best advances. And also brainstorming, we call it. When I was in a little group, I didn't have much brainstorming, and I miss it so much, because you get ideas from other people who are doing similar things, but in another field. And then I think exchanging your struggles also when you do an experiment that don't work, it's nice to be open to things that work and don't work with the others, because it helps a lot. And then, yeah, keep your curiosity about what you're doing and your passion. Yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. And we all agree with teamwork and brainstorming, don't we, mini reporters? We do a lot of that in our newsroom. So thank you. Great to hear that some of those skills are transferred, whatever job you do, aren't they? So
Absolutely.
Who was your inspiration growing up in science?
I didn't really have one. I think I was mainly curious about the subject, and then along the path I met so many inspiring people. So I don't think there was one in particular that I took as a role model. I think everywhere I went, there was someone who I looked at as a role model. I think everywhere you go, in every places I've worked, I've always met some inspirational people. So I took them as they came.
Great answer. How old were you when you started getting interested in science?
I think I was in high school, and I liked I've always been good at math, which is science in a way, but not really strictly science. And then in high school, I liked all the science classes that we had. And I wasn't sure whether I wanted to be like a vet, definitely not a doctor. I was more inclined on doing something with animals, but then I wasn't sure whether I wanted to embark in such a difficult career difficult in terms of emotionally difficult career, because I don't know, I don't like animal suffering. So I was like, okay, let's find something that is in between. And so I was curious about what you can't see, like small things that exist that we are made of and we can't see with our naked eye. And and then I signed up to biology at university, and I really liked it.
Brilliant. It sounds very logical in the process that you applied to yourself there as well, Frederica.
Yeah, it was a process. I realized that, and everyone was like, why didn't you sign up to vets? I said, it's too hard. I don't want that. I want to do something useful, something meaningful and powerful, but like behind the scenes rather than being in the front line and save animals. Just too hard.
Thank you. Back to you, Ben.
So I think, ironically, my last two questions, I think you also slightly answered in that last answer, but I'll ask them anyway. First one, what subjects apart from science should you study at school to become a scientist?
I think anything will do, like obviously math, chemistry, all these help a lot. I think these are the main two related to biology that you would need to have a broad understanding, because you use them quite a lot. You use them quite a lot on a daily basis. So yeah, but science, as I said before, is also not only spending your day in the lab. So any other thing, even time management, is a good thing to learn when you want to become a scientist.
Yeah, and report writing, I imagine, as well. So having some of those skills in terms of how you disseminate the information, how you share that information. So lots of things together. We've got lots of maths fans in this group, actually, haven't we? So there you go, everybody. And Ben again.
And final question. I think again you also answered this in the 2 questions ago, but if you weren't a scientist right now, what would you be and why? Not when you were younger.
I think I will be a professional athlete.
What sport are you going for?
Yeah, I think I will be a professional athlete. I always loved, so I started too late to do athletics, but I really, really enjoyed it. And I do sports. I can't be without sports. Yeah, I think I'll be a professional athlete.
Brilliant.
Competing at Olympics. I don't know.
Why not? Aim for the top in the Olympics.
Yeah.
It's a dream job. It's fun. Can I just add on a question to the end of that? Because I think it's really interesting that you say that you can't be without it. And we often, again, have talked about being able to make sure that being active in your mind and being well is also means that you've got to bring sport into that. Would you advocate that for the mini reporters?
Yeah, it is. I find it, first of all, I find it helpful not only for my body and like to keep myself in a healthy, but also is helping a lot with stress release. So I find that if I go for a run, when I come back, I don't want to go for a run, but if I go for a run, then I come back much happier than I was before. And I forget, it's time for yourself. It's time that you release the stress. It's really, I find it really, really helpful.
Good piece of advice. Thank you. I'm going to go back to Ethan, who had another question.
So what was your favorite subject? Was your favorite subject in school science? If so, why? If not, what was it and why?
I think I was quite a good student, so there were a lot of a lot of classes. I was good in Italian literature. I was good in Latin. I really loved Latin, to be fair. And now I remember zero nothing at all. But I was really good at it. I think I like math a lot, but probably you tend to like, or in general, one tend to like subject that they are really good at. So if you're naturally inclined for something, you really like it, I think. So I don't know why, because Latin and math is completely different things, but still I like them and I was good at it.
Another great piece of advice, choose the things that you enjoy doing, because if they help you on the career path that you're wanting to do, then that's great, isn't it? Carl, you've been so patient, waiting and listening and learning lots of things, I hope. And thank you for joining us this evening. Have you got a question for Federica? So the next one I think it'd be good to ask is from Tanisha, and she asks, why is your job important to you?
Yeah, I think I mentioned it briefly earlier. I always wanted to do something meaningful. And I think this is quite meaningful. And I never imagined that I could work on such a huge project. And I think this is going to be the highlight of my career. I don't think there's going to be anything else happening in the future that, will make me think like, oh my goodness, this is really like a huge project. I contributed to save loads of lives. So I think this is the highlight. But yeah, I like to do something meaningful, something to help people. And why not do it through science? I think that's the reason. I want to do something meaningful, something that will help people.
Brilliant. And never say never to the highlight in your career. There could be more great things to come. You're yet to be an Olympic athlete. So
oh yeah, sure.
that is still out there, ready to achieve. Carl, are you ready with your questions?
How did you make the vaccine?
Well, I wish I was the one on the big tank mixing the vaccine, but I wasn't. It's a lengthy process, and you need to start from some genetic material at first, and then you enclose the genetic material into some vector, some virus, who will deliver then the genetic material to your cells. It's like a cookbook. You read the recipe, you put on the kettle or whatever, and then you do it. But I wasn't involved in that part of the work, and I'm very curious as well. I would like to go and see, like in one of these big manufacturer, how they actually come out from a big tank to a little bottle of vaccine. I think it's quite interesting. It's quite an interesting process.
A great description there, thinking it to a recipe and how it all comes together with the ingredients. And a great question. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Have you got any more in that little notepad?
2 more.
Okay, get
Right.
go.
How did you feel when you made the vaccine?
Oh, it was great. It was such an intense emotion after all the waiting, because having the results of the efficacy, and knowing that it was working, and it was just a great feeling. And I tried to cycle as fast as I could to work, to just share the moment with my colleagues. It was brilliant. It was such a brilliant day.
I think at this point we should probably give Federica a round of applause and say thank you
Oh, thank you.
for her involvement in that.
Thank you.
Very much appreciated by everybody here. Thank you so much.
I report to everyone.
And your final question, Rahul?
Yes. What are you working on now?
Exclusive.
Yeah. So before doing working on the COVID project, I was working on prostate cancer, and I never managed to go back to a cancer project again. So I'm now continue working on the COVID project. We are seeing the kids. We were running. We started also a trial in children and adolescents, and so we are now seeing again these participants, and we are measuring immune responses 1 year after the first vaccine. So it's quite exciting. 1 year ago, the first kids were vaccinated with the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, and it was also a brilliant moment. And yeah, so the trials are continuing. So we are still working on COVID trials. The job has not finished yet. We might be able to do more exciting work rather than strictly clinical trial work, where we can be a little bit more creative on what we do. And so, yeah, it's kind of a nice moment now, because as soon as the last visit of the clinical trial is done, then we can get more creative. So it's a nice moment.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You've got your hand raised again. Rahul, would you like to ask another question? If you can, take yourself off mute. I'm loving that you've got so many questions waiting for.
Just one more. I forgot about this one. Did you think the vaccine was going to work?
Yeah. I mean, we had already a similar vaccine done for another coronavirus, which was very promising. And so we were kind of confident that the technology we were using would probably work quite well. But yeah, in the end, you never know. But in deep down, we really hoped, and there was that kind of confidence that, yeah, let us thought, I think we get there. We didn't know how effective it would be, but we knew that it will definitely induce immune responses. And also when we were processing the blood samples from the volunteers, we were seeing responses. We didn't know how big they were, but we were seeing responses. And so we were quite confident. But in terms of protecting from the disease, obviously that was another big question mark. But I think deep down everyone was fairly sure that we could have a good vaccine in hand.
If you were a sweet, what sweet would you be and why?
Well, that was a tricky one. When I read it, I said, oh, I need to think hard. I think I'm going to be a dark chocolate chip cookie, because I like dark chocolate, and it's not the finest of the sweet, but there's a lot of consistencies in there. You have the crunchiness of the chips, and then you have the soft gooiness of the cookie itself. So I think I'm a mixture of everything, and I'm a little bit sweeter as dark chocolate, but I'm a little bit sweet. So I think that's the best. That's the best sweet that represents me. I hope so, at least.
Thank you so much for taking so much time on that question. I'm sure that was one of the ones that you found trickiest
Yes.
to prepare for.
Yes, it was.
I'm also going to hand over to Ethan, who's going to ask a question on behalf of one of our other mini reporters.
So this is on behalf of a mini reporter named Joshua. If you were a superhero, what would be your powers and why?
I think I would love to teleport. I would love to teleport, and off you go for your lunchtime in Barbados, and then come back in the lab with a bit of a tan.
It's a popular one amongst our interviewees, actually. Teleportation comes up quite a lot, which just goes to show, we all want a break from things every now and again.
I think so. It's the quickest way.
Okay, I'm going to take two more, I think. One from Ben and one from Carl, because I know you had your hand up. So Ben, over to you.
Okay, so I'm afraid this is a bit more of a serious one again.
Okay.
And this is a bit more related to me because I did have my COVID jab back in November. Very recently caught COVID, which means I know I won't be able to have my second one for a while. And I was just wondering from like more a scientific point of view, I'm just trying to frame it right. Why does somebody have to wait after having COVID to have their COVID jab, to have their second COVID jab or their booster?
Great question, Ben.
Why would you have to have another jab after COVID and the first jab?
Why do you have to have a gap if you've had COVID to then have the vaccine?
Yes. So let's say that you have the first jab, your immune system is responding to that, and it's busy responding to that vaccine. And then after a while, when the immune response goes down, you are likely to catch COVID. And then that infection is acting like another jab, but it's not going to be, because your immune responses is recognizing the virus and responding to the virus to try and eliminate it. And so your immune response is activated, and in a way, it's like having a natural boost vaccination. But in that case, your immune responses are directed towards not only the spike protein, but every component of the virus. And so, yeah, it's acting like a booster. I'm also waiting to have my third dose because I had infection after my second, and I'm still waiting. But you don't want to have it too early, because if you give another stimulus to your immune system while it's still when it's too early, then you risk that you don't do any good. You actually kill the immune cells because they are overactivated. And so, yeah, you leave the immunity to go down a little bit so that you can increase it with a booster. There should be a gap. With coronavirus, I think it's still quite not clear what's this gap, especially between infection and a booster dose. So yeah, you need to wait a little bit for the immune response to take a break, and then it's ready to respond again at their max.
Brilliant, thank you.
It's like a 100-meter run. You don't do another 100-meter run after 1 minute. You wait a little bit and then you do another run.
That has helped me so much as well, Ben, in my understanding. So thank you for asking that important question. And Federica, I love the way you also got a bit of athletics into that answer.
Yeah, I like the run bit. Yeah, because I know it's a difficult concept, and I always think like we don't make an effort to try and make good comparison to let people understand what we mean, because in our head everything is clear. And so sometimes we need to find nice comparisons to make people understand, because I know what I'm saying, but maybe you have a big question mark on your face, like what is that?
Yeah, another great tip, and again something we talk about in the Media Club's newsroom, like it's making sure that it's understandable for everybody, isn't it? So we're quite often thinking about comparisons and how to describe something in the best way. Okay, Carl, you had your hand up before. Did you have one final question?
Which movie would you mostly be in and why?
Ooh, that's a new one for us. Brilliant.
No, I haven't got that. What, can you repeat that, please?
What movie would you mostly be in and why?
Oh, wow. Definitely not one of these disaster movies. I don't know. I probably would like to be in one of the Disney movies. I would be a Disney character. I would love that.
That's great answer. Yeah, a bit of light relief from all of the hard work you're having to do. That sounds great. Great question, thank you, and lovely one for us to finish off on. It has been fantastic for you to be able to join us in the Media Club's newsroom today. I don't know about you, everybody, you can take yourselves off mute if you like, but I think that we have learned so much, and you've opened up our eyes so much in terms of having a career in science, how you get there, the fantastic work that you've been doing to develop the COVID vaccine. So it has just been amazing for us to be able to have so much learning. So thank you once again. Just finally, Federica, before you do go, is there anything you'd like to ask our mini reporters? I'll turn the tables on them.
What's your aspiration? Do you want to be scientists, or you want to be reporters, or you want to be scientists and reporters?
Well, that'd be a good combination. I'm going to go over to Ben first.
Okay, so actually, as I'm I think pretty sure out of all the kids, the oldest here, I've just started secondary, so I was thinking more recently about what I want to be. Now I have a lot of different lines. So I think the two main ones, I want to either go into like media, so that's TV presenting, reporting, or I'd like to go into like drama teaching, because I love to entertain. I love to go on a stage and just perform. That's what I love more than anything. So either TV or like drama, either one of those would be absolutely amazing, definitely.
And he's definitely going to do it. Julie, you've got your hand raised. Did you want to answer that?
Yeah, I really enjoy writing, so hopefully one day I'll become an author. But I do really enjoy being team leaders or something like that, and I like teaching people, so possibly I, as part-time, could do some different types of workshops, maybe just about writing or stuff. Yeah.
Brilliant. Julie is a fantastic debater as well, so some great skills that she brings into the newsroom in that way. Carl, what do you want to be?
Maybe a footballer.
Okay, are we allowed to ask what team? Because this could split the room. Although actually no, because I know who you support, and I'm pretty sure nobody else in this here does. Go on, tell everybody who you support.
Can I show the sign?
Yeah, go on.
But no one will guess it.
We have got some football fans, so are you a football fan, Federica?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah?
I am. I used to be a little bit more than now.
Go on, you can show it to us.
Oh.
Who knows the answer to that? It's Wolves, right? Wolverhampton Wanderers. Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, well, we've got variety in this room. And Freya, what about you? What would you like to be?
It's not really what I want to be, it's what I want to do more. I want to have my own card making shop.
Fantastic. And you are very talented and creative to be able to do that, Freya. She's always so really good with animals, so I was expecting her to go along that route as well.
A few minutes ago, I gave my dad a card because his dad's in hospital trying to recover. So I've done a get well card.
What a lovely thing to do, Freya. Well done. And Ethan, I think you're the only person who hasn't said about your aspirations.
I think when I want to be older, I think I've said this before, but either a web designer or game designer, or like my dad, a graphic designer. So making sort of, I don't know, but more like a game designer or website designer.
Brilliant. Thank you. And thank you for asking the question, Federica, because I don't often turn the tables on them. They have to ask the questions. So they were unprepared for that, but they gave you some fantastic answers.
Yeah, like they had a clear idea. It's really nice, but don't be afraid if the path is not very linear. So
yeah, you can, sometimes you pass like this, isn't it?
Yes.
You get there in different ways.
Exactly.